The first days of the pontificate of Pope Leo XIV. The Catholic Church is living a moment of great hope after the election of the new Pope. A Franciscan perspective on this historic moment and testimonies from those present in Rome for the start of his Petrine ministry. Press conference of Cardinal Pizzaballa after the Conclave. The Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem addressed the media upon his return from Rome. In the press conference on May the 13th, he recounted his experience in the conclave. Caritas Baby Hospital, from daily care to surgical excellence. In Bethlehem, Caritas Baby Hospital is the only pediatric hospital in Palestine. For decades, it has provided high-quality care to thousands of children, upholding its humanitarian mission amid daily challenges. The 130th anniversary of the Maronite Vicariat in Jerusalem. A celebration in the Holy City for the 130th anniversary of the Maronite Patriarchal Vicariat, presided over by His Excellency Monsignor Musa Al-Hajj.
Habemus Papam.
From the day of his election to the end of the first week, Pope Leo XIV engaged in several significant moments. On Saturday the 10th, he visited the shrine of Our Lady of Good Counsel in Genazzano. On his return, he stopped at Santa Maria Maggiore, where Pope Francis is buried. He paused in prayer before the icon of Salus Populi Romani and greeted the hundreds of people gathered there. At the delegation of the Holy Land in Rome, Brother Narcis, a historian of the custody, offered valuable insights to help understand some unique features of this beginning pontificate.
Abbiamo avuto nella storia diversi papi di questo nome, il primo Leone il Magno, quindi tra i papi, tra i più importanti, quello che ha salvato la città.
In church history, we've had several popes named Leo. The first, Leo I the Great, was among the most important. He saved the city of Rome and firmly established the papacy as the true successor of Peter, not just for Rome but for the whole world. Also significant is Leo XIII, who led the Church into the 20th century and left an indelible mark through many encyclicals, especially Rerum Novarum on the social question.
Che è stata dedicata proprio al mondo, alla difesa dei operai.
In this line of continuity, Pope Leo stated that his name was inspired by Leo XIII, who had the courage to face the great issues posed by the Industrial Revolution. Today, the Church confronts a new and equally urgent challenge, the revolution of artificial intelligence.
Ci sono sempre queste domande.
Every time a new pope is elected, the same questions arise. Is he conservative or liberal? But perhaps that's not what matters most. The Pope carries a bit of everything, in a positive sense.
Positivo, ovviamente.
Leo XIV belongs to the Augustinian order. He has a solid intellectual formation rooted in Thomism. He is also a shepherd, capable of guiding and staying close to his flock. Among the students of the custody of the Holy Land is a seminarian from the Diocese of Pope Leo XIV. I was just a child when I served as an altar boy at the Franciscan parish. During major celebrations, we often invited Monsignor Roberto. He was always known for being very close to all congregations and to every single person. Seeing him today as Pope is a grace, a blessing, not just for Chiclayo or Peru, but for the entire Church. What moved me most in St. Peter's Square was when they showed his face on the screen. You could immediately see tears in his eyes. That moment said everything about how touched he was, realizing who he had become. And yet, he welcomed it all with deep humility. When Cardinal Prevost's name was announced, I felt great surprise, but also the awareness that the Church was no longer without a guide. Now we have a shepherd to steer the bark of Peter.
Regina Celi, letare, Alleluia.
On Sunday the 11th, the Holy Father appeared at the central loggia of St. Peter's Basilica to pray the Regina Celi with the faithful and pilgrims. About 100,000 people attended, accompanied by Jubilee bands and a folk show. In his message, the Pope launched a strong appeal to the international community. I speak to the powerful of the world. Never again war. I believe his prudence and balance will make the Holy See increasingly prophetic, able to bring a message of great hope to those who suffer, while also intervening concretely and effectively in addressing global problems. What struck me most was the way people welcomed him. In 1 minute, he went from being Cardinal Prevost to the Pope. And he's not just a figure we follow, he's someone we genuinely love.
Sancti discendat super vos et maniat semper.
Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa, Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, held a press conference on May the 13th after returning from Rome, where he had participated in the conclave that led on May the 8th to the election of Pope Leo XIV.
And there he is. It was a very interesting experience, very unique, of course. The conclave was very short, 1 day. What was very interesting were the preparation days, the so-called congregations, where we met, the cardinals met, in order to exchange, to discuss. When they say the relation with the world in all the different aspects, the question of peace, and was central, and the different conflict, but the two main conflicts we are talking about, Ukraine and Middle East, Gaza, and so on, were mentioned more than once, not just by myself, of course, I couldn't not to talk about, but also many others. I think the point of the peace and the interreligious dialogue was something quite common in all the different contexts where the cardinals were coming from. I think the Pope will be very present, cannot be otherwise, in the international arena as religious leader, first of all. As I feel, as I understand, he will not enter into the direct political dynamics, but he will remain anyway, as also has been asked more than once, even in the past, voice of the Church, not the voice of the Pope only, the voice of the Church in the big the important context, especially context of poverty, of war, of where there are issues in a way from a human point of view and values point of view.
Responding to a question about Gaza and the Church's position, the Cardinal replied firmly,
"We are assisting in Gaza something that is inconceivable, unacceptable also from a human point of view. Starvation of hundreds of thousands of people, and starvation as a war instrument, war's weapon, I don't know how to say in English. We cannot understand this, we cannot accept this, and we call all those who have the power to take decision to put this an end, and to solve the conflict in different ways. There is a conflict, of course, but the conflict cannot be solved. First of all, the starvation will not solve anything, will only worsen the situation. From a human point of view, the values point of view, ethical point of view is, from my point of view, not acceptable."
In the complex context of the Holy Land, the possibility of a visit from the new Pope remains open. Cardinal Pizzaballa hinted at this, reminding us that the Holy Land, centered on Jerusalem, is the cradle of Christianity. From here, once again, a message of hope and peace can rise despite the pain and division caused by war Its impact is not limited to the people of this land, it resonates throughout the entire world. Caritas Baby Hospital in Bethlehem is the only hospital specialized in pediatrics in Palestine. It is a fundamental pillar of the country's pediatric healthcare system. For decades, it has provided high-quality medical care to thousands of Palestinian children without distinction, fulfilling its humanitarian and social mission in a context marked by great hardship and complex challenges. Today, to further strengthen its mission, the hospital is building a surgical center. This will allow surgeries to be performed directly on site, avoiding the need to transfer young patients to other facilities. This major advancement increases the hospital's ability to respond to emergencies and confirms Caritas Baby Hospital's role as a fully equipped medical institution deeply committed to the care of Palestinian children.
The construction of the surgical building was a dream for our hospital. We express deep gratitude to the donors and supporters who made this dream come true. As part of our mission to improve and expand pediatric healthcare with a specialized and qualified staff, it is essential to enhance our services, adding pediatric day surgery as one of the essential treatments for our young patients.
الخدمات اللي مقدمة لأطفالنا ونوسعها بما تشمل الجراحة النهارية للأطفال.
اليوم نشهد عقد الطابق الثالث.
The basement houses technical services, including clinical engineering, medical gas distribution systems, and the electrical plant. On the ground floor are the reception and the sterilization unit, where the priority is patient safety and infection control. The operating floor will have 2 fully equipped surgical rooms with dedicated preparation areas and recovery rooms.
من غرف التحضير وغرف الإفاقة.
The new center will allow essential surgical procedures to be performed quickly and efficiently, directly inside the hospital. This will reduce wait times and ease the burden on families, especially considering movement restrictions and the complexity of medical referrals. With this new surgical facility, we hope to meet the growing needs of our community by offering a safe, welcoming environment for children. Our goal is to provide high-quality services in a child-friendly setting, accompanying each patient through the entire care journey, from diagnosis to medical exams, surgery when needed, and attentive, ongoing follow-up. The vision of the custody of the Holy Land, which owns the land where the hospital stands, aligns perfectly with the mission of Caritas Baby Hospital, always committed to protecting the dignity and right to life of every child. Under the patronage of His Eminence Cardinal Boutros al-Rai, Maronite Patriarch of Antioch and all the East, on May the 10th, the Maronite Patriarchal Vicariate of Jerusalem celebrated the 130th anniversary of its founding. This place was inaugurated as a Patriarchal Vicariate on May the 6th, 1895. Jerusalem has a global importance since all churches and religions are represented here. As the Maronite Church in the East, we must have a presence in this place. The solemn Mass was presided over by Monsieur Musa al-Hajj, Maronite Archbishop of Haifa and the Holy Land, assisted by many priests. Bishops, priests, monks and nuns from various churches and religious orders were also present, along with a large number of faithful. In his homily, the Archbishop traced the history of the Maronite presence in Jerusalem, noting that it dates back to the 5th century and was reinforced with the arrival of the Crusaders. According to ancient baptismal records, Maronites in Jerusalem were baptized in the Latin Church. Some retained their Maronite identity, while others joined the Latin Church, as there was no Maronite priest assigned to their pastoral care. The Maronite Church belongs to the Catholic Church and recognizes the Pope's authority.
فعلى هالأساس نحن كل هالجماعة يلي موجودة هون من الغرب.
On this basis, missionary monks from the West, especially the Franciscans, collaborated with the Maronites, united by the same faith. Together they worked to proclaim the gospel and strengthen the Christian presence in the Holy Land.
مع بعضهم البعض إن كان للتبشير وإن كان لتثبيت المسيحيين الموجودين بهالأرض المقدسة.
In 1996, the Synod of Maronite bishops separated the Holy Land from the Diocese of Tyre, establishing an independent diocese for the northern region. Jerusalem, the Palestinian territories, and Jordan remained under the direct authority of the Patriarch, who appointed a patriarchal vicar there. Beyond reinforcing the Maronite religious and cultural identity in Jerusalem, in 1982 the Patriarchal Vicariate also became a central reference point in the city. It includes a guest house for pilgrims, lovingly managed by the Maronite Sisters of Saint Therese of the Child Jesus. Today we have 30 rooms with a total of 55 beds. This allows us to host an entire busload of pilgrims. After the festive Mass, the book Brief History of the Maronite Patriarchal Vicariate of Jerusalem by Father Antoine Douai was presented. With this book, I wanted to highlight the role of the Maronites, especially in Jerusalem, so that they may have a more visible and significant presence. In my meetings with representatives of other churches, I've always tried to promote and strengthen a distinct Maronite presence in the city. At the end of the celebration, all the concelebrants gathered in the church hall to offer congratulations. They then moved to the monastery courtyard for lunch, which concluded with a celebratory cake marked with the anniversary inscription. Open yourself to a gesture of solidarity and support the mission of the Custody of the Holy Land. The Christian Media Center spreads the good news of Jesus by making known to the world the spirituality of the holy places and the lives of the Christians who live here. Your contribution will help us bring the proclamation of the risen Lord, the most urgent of all, to men and women of every language and nation. To help us concretely, open the QR code. Your choice makes a difference.